Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Christian Show. My name is Ben Petch, and I'm your host. And guys, I'm very excited for today's episode. We have a great guest, but before we start, and you guys can hear this amazing conversation we're gonna have today, know that if you're new to the show, the reason why it's called the Real Christian is because there's a lot of stuff going on with the world right now. A lot of people that believe in God and that are people of faith, they're very passive, and honestly, they're not defending their beliefs, their values. So we started this just to show people that, you know, as Christians, we got to do a better job. We got to be more active. We got to defend our truths, men and women, and we got to speak up for the things that we believe in. We live in a society right now that you cannot stay quiet. So there's four formats of the show, guys. Number one, we talk about current events. So you kind of like get your news from us and everything. We're covering a lot of the stuff that's been happening the past couple of weeks with the election, with the executive orders from the president, and a bunch of other stuff, the things in California. So that's very exciting. And then the second thing that we talk about is entrepreneurship, business, sales, social media, just a bunch of resources that you guys can have to make progress in your goals and how you can apply faith and spiritual principles with it, because with God, there's way more success that we can have than doing it by ourselves. Then the third thing that we do is interview cool people and their stories, and that's what we're gonna do today. So I'll introduce the guests in a minute. And then the last thing that we do is Q and A's, and you can submit your questions. Just send me a DM to my Instagram benjapp201, and then literally we're gonna talk about life, personal branding, religion, spiritual stuff, and entrepreneurship, whatever you guys want to talk about. And the last thing, guys, remember that, I'm a value driven guy. I believe that if you guys get any value from these podcasts, that you guys are going to share it. Now, if we suck and you actually don't get any value, don't share it. I'm cool with it. But if you actually got something from it and it helped you, inspire you in some sort of way, we count on you guys 100%. So share it with your friends, post on your story, tag us, and yeah. Anyways, let me introduce the guest for today, ladies and gentlemen. We got Addison Rowland. How you doing, girl?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. It's amazing to meet you. And thank you for making the time for being here. No,
Yeah, I got off work and I was ready to go.
that's great. So, guys, if you don't know Addison, it's funny because her Instagram and personal branding is very unique. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because I really like it, whatever you put out and all the content. But she's known as the train girl. She's a social media influencer. She's a gamer, and she works with heavy equipment. And I just found out that she actually lives in Utah, and I live in Utah, which is very funny. So anyway, how was work? How was work today?
It was great. Today, what did I do today? So we have two different locos. Right now I'm in the loadout units, which means I fill up the train cars with the material and I just move them across the tracks. And then there's downhill locomotives, and they take the material when I'm done and they bring it to the port. So
How
I
did you
do
get into
both.
that? I feel like
That's a
that's
long
the
story. If you want me to start from the beginning, it goes way back. So if you want me to do,
yeah.
I
I mean,
will.
I'm
It's a
I'm like
cool story, but it's just a long story.
you know yeah. I mean, we want to talk about it. We have time because I think a lot of people, even like I saw the comments and everything. It's like very uh, like you don't see that a lot. Like
No.
I was just talking to you like a couple minutes ago before we started recording that how I found you, that you posted this video of this chick that she was like above my house through like OnlyFans and stuff, and then it was you, and you were like, I did it the hard way, and you're like all dirty and like working on trains and stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it. How'd you get into doing that?
It goes way back. So, funny fact, I actually played football in high school, right? I was the
Or like
only
American
female.
football?
Yeah, American football.
Whoa.
Yes, I loved it from a young age. At like when I was 12, I knew I wanted to play. My dad, growing up, we watched Gladiator, we watched Rudy. I blame him. And so getting into that, that's a story for another time, but it's a cool one. Getting into football, but so I knew I wanted to play, and I knew I needed a job at the time in high school. and I wanted to stay fit while I played football, right? So I looked for, first I started as a carpenter, but as I was doing it, I realized it wasn't, what I was doing wasn't very physical. So I reached out to 16 different,
Wait,
um,
what does your dad do? Is he like involved in like heavy equipment or construction or something?
no, he's a nurse. He owns his own home health company.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were just raised tough, basically.
Not really. I
No.
just really love football and I wanted to play. Like, it's to me, back in the day, I didn't really have a, this is a man sport and this is like, I just wanted to play football and because I like it, you know?
Yeah,
And they didn't have, if they had a
yeah.
girls' team, I would have played on the girls' team, right? But they didn't. So I decided I didn't want to regret making that decision and I only, if I didn't play, I knew I was going to regret it.
And you were
So,
playing with the guys.
yes.
Did you like? Were you like good? Were you like ever able to like compete with everybody and
I
stuff?
actually, I'm 5'3", and
You're
I
five
actually didn't do.
three.
I'm a little person. I'm built like a tank.
Because you
But
look
I
way
actually,
taller though. That's funny.
that's what everybody says.
Hey, it's yeah, it's marketing.
But yeah, like even at, so I learned the power to change minds from a young age because obviously it was never done in Region 9. I was the first girl to ever do it. I had to prove myself that I wanted to be there, not because of any other reason other than I just loved football. And like I said, it's a long story. I had to convince my parents one thing because they weren't cool with it. Um, and then I
What
had to
did your mom
convince.
say about it?
I'll just tell the story. How
Yeah,
about that?
I don't know why
Yeah,
you're not telling the story. I thought you were
it's
telling the
long.
story.
Okay, ready? So I saw my very first football game, Herkin High School, with my dad, and it was like a movie. I saw them running on the field slow motion, and I just was like, I'm gonna play. So
Yeah.
I knew years before that I was gonna play, but I didn't tell my parents until it was about time freshman year, right? I told them, and at first they were like, "No, we don't really like." And then I just was persistent, and then they were finally like, "Okay, we don't agree, but we're going to support you because we love you." And they were like, "You're gonna play kicker, right?" And I told them yes, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, "I'm not playing kicker. I know which position I want to play."
Which is what?
So I ended up playing middle linebacker and special teams mostly.
Well, I'm not like very. So I just moved to the States like 3.5 years
Oh,
ago.
okay,
So I'm
that.
not like very familiar with like football. What's that
So
position?
they're the guys that stop the fullback, tailback. They're the guys in the middle. It's usually typically a shorter, stockier guy that would play middle linebacker.
Yeah, yeah,
Their job is to stop the fullback mostly.
yeah.
Obviously, it's different every scenario. I made most of my tackles on special teams, um, which is when you're with the kicker, you run down, and then I would find the person with the ball and tackle them, essentially.
That's cool.
Anyways, so I got the green light from them, and so before the season started, they do this weight training before the season starts. So I show up, and the coach, I remember I got in line, and he's like, "No, volleyball's at 8." And I was like, "I want to play," and he's like, "No, like volleyball's at 8." And I just remember feeling so defeated. And so what I did every time after that, I would wait for the guys to go in and the coach, and I snuck in. So I went to every single weight training one when he told me no.
But
He just,
did you like put like a?
no, 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 I didn't dress up. He didn't say anything after that because I just showed
You
up.
didn't put like a wig or anything, like pretending that you were like a guy in the.
No,
In
no,
the
no. And so when the
that would
season
be funny.
started, my mom dropped me off, and I remember I was so nervous. I was like, I know he's gonna say no. She was like, I've waited here long enough, go out. And so she kicked me out of the car. So I finally went and I walk on the field. He pulls me to the side and he's like, this is, it's a man's sport. You can't play. I was devastated, cried for weeks. I really
How old
wanted
were
to
you?
play.
For like 16, 15?
Yeah, freshman, so
Yeah.
15, 16. And so my parents saw how devastated I was. So they actually contacted the people in charge, and they said since there's not a girls' team, she can play. Since I'm not at an advantage, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's. I understand there's a lot controversial because I was able to play football, but the boys who want to play volleyball couldn't because they're naturally stronger, right? And stuff like that. And so the principal called me in and my dad just to make sure, like, why do you want to play? My dad stood by my side and was like, she's loved military stuff, like she just really wants to play. And they were like, okay. And they had bets that I wasn't going to make it past the first year. So I started showing up and I just kept getting laid out. Like, I mean, like, laid out. Like, getting knocked over and I'd get back up, getting knocked over, get back up. And I just kept showing up till the very first game of the season came. And my very first play, when I stepped on that field, there was this guy dominating everybody, right? Nobody could tackle him. And I got on there and I actually have a video of it. And I run
You're gonna have to
across the
send it to me
field.
now. Like I
I
really want to
will.
watch it.
I'm like, you can see me. I go and I don't think. I think differently on the field. So while everyone's going forward, I started cutting across the field in the video. And then I jump and I grab his shoelace and I take him down. And so after that, they made me team captain and then just showing up and
Team
at the
captain?
yeah, it was awesome. And then there's news reporters that I turned down because I really didn't want, during that time, I told them I don't want to stand out. I would hide my hair in the games. Like, I just want to play. I don't want to prove that females can do it. It, and so by the end of the season, the coach gets everyone together and he goes, I just want to apologize. Like, you really belong here. And it was amazing to see just the power to change people's minds. And I take that when we talk about the train stuff and the conducting stuff and the excavation stuff as for what I've learned from football. And so that's kind of essentially
Yeah.
like huge shout out to coaches. Some of the coaches believed in me from the beginning. That's why my number was 33. Coach Healy, Coach Barry, who's no longer with us, sadly. They were Humphreys. I'm just shouting them out because I really appreciate them standing by me from the beginning.
So what? So you played your entire time when you were in high school and everything, and then you graduated. And then
Yes.
what'd you do? Did you go to college? Did you start working? What would you do?
So I went to college for a little bit, but I
Where'd you
realized
go?
at SUU.
Okay.
I realized I was going to college not for anything I wanted to do. I was just doing it because that's what I
Like
thought
what
you're
everybody else
supposed
is
to do.
doing, yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't last long, I was like, and
You end up like dropping out or something?
I just never finished. I had a couple semesters
Okay.
and I was like, this is either I'm just here. I mean, there's value in it. You build confidence, you build knowledge. But for me,
I'm with you. I got
yeah.
I got kicked out of college.
Okay, I like you already.
Yeah, I got kicked out of college. My GPA was .97.
That makes, but
I
it's,
take a lot of pride because I've never met anybody that's below a 1. So I'm like the only one for .97. It's pretty bad, but
but that means that makes me feel more comfortable because we have similar, like,
yeah,
upbringing. You know
I
what I
always
mean?
took the alternative route. Like I hate
Yes.
like doing what everybody else is doing. I feel like I have a lot
Yes.
of thoughts when it comes to school. I kind of believe it's kind of like a scam, to be honest, if you ask me. And I'm just too dumb for academic stuff. I'm more smart about life and business and other things and personal branding, all other stuff. But I just don't like to apply, I mean, to learn things that I cannot apply for. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
And for the money, for me, it was one semester was 9 grand for one semester.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
like, and it was
Like,
just too dumb. So yeah, and
we're the same person, so
yeah,
that
I'm
makes
like
me feel.
super stubborn. I hate when
Yeah.
people tell me what to do and having
Me too.
deadlines, having all the deadlines and homework and stuff.
Yep.
Plus, I have such a hard time concentrating and focus, and so I failed
Me too.
math 1050 4 times.
Yeah, but
Yep.
we're the underdogs, We
Yeah.
gotta
But anyway, so okay, you try to go to school, didn't work out, and then what'd you do?
So from the excavation, like I said, I called 16 different people. They didn't want to hire me. I don't know. I thought it was because of my gender, but maybe it
Okay, but
wasn't.
what got you to start doing like excavation and construction, all this
So
stuff?
in football, I wanted to stay fit. In my teenage brain, that's what I thought. Oh, they're outside
Oh,
lifting,
okay.
doing
So
things.
okay.
I want to do that because I just have that mindset. It gives me purpose. It gets me excited. I
Yeah.
like proving myself when I can't do something. Like I love that. And so when I called the 16 different companies, one got back to me. And at that time in my life, I had a poor work ethic. Like I've come a long ways. My work ethic was not there. I'd be late. Like I didn't get fired. I just quit because it got hard. And so that stuck with me. So I was doing these like like the jobs that are like fast food and stuff. I was like, I want to face that demon that for some reason I can't work hard. Like I worked hard in football, but why can't I work hard when it comes to work? Why am I not reliable? Why am I
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? And
We're so
yeah.
sorry. Keep
Oh,
going.
no,
Go
no,
on.
no, no. You ask your question.
No, the thing is, I'm always gonna like interrupt and ask other questions because I.
Please do.
But how many siblings you got?
Four sisters, and they're all girly girls. They're all unique and awesome, but I'm just different.
Wait, where are you in like the?
Middle child.
You're the middle child. Do you have
Explains.
the what?
That explains.
What's the age difference with all of them?
So, it's 2 years apart, except my youngest, she's probably 8 years apart from the one. So there's five girls. We all have A names. Asia, Ashlyn, Addie, Annika, Ansley.
That's interesting. Do you have a good
Yeah.
relationship with your parents?
Oh, me and my mom, that in high school, terrible relationship.
Really?
Always fighting. When I moved out, she is my best friend. Right now, she texts me every day. I tell her everything. She knows everything. We just decided that we were going to work on our relationship and be like, what happened in the past is in the past, and
That's good.
we're just best friends now.
That's good. That's good. Well, I wanna ask you something. So, because I like it. I mean, going back into your content and why I reach out to you is because you go and I was talking with another friend. We did a podcast as well this week. She works in like online coaching, fitness, and nutrition. And anyway, we're talking about it because you go on your phone and there's porn everywhere. Like all
Oh
these
yeah.
girls showing her
Mhm.
boobs or their
Mhm.
butt and all this stuff. And it's kind of sad. And it's very hard to find people that truly believe in conservative values.
Mhm.
So that's when I saw your video, I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
very like unique. So my
Yeah.
question for you is, why are you not doing OnlyFans? I feel like everyone is like asking you that in like
Right.
your comments.
That's the number one question right now. That reel got is it's still climbing. It
I'm
got
gonna I'm gonna post it on my story when I tag you on this stuff so you can see what I'm
okay.
talking about.
It got 8.2 million views so far. Still going. And but the reason your question was why don't I do an OnlyFans?
Okay, but not just that question, but
No,
like,
no,
why didn't
no.
you do like an easier route? Like, why didn't you choose an easier route for a girl?
There's in my mind a couple different answers. I'll start with one. My biggest one is to me, sin, right, is like accumulating credit card debt, in my opinion. It's not
Sin?
in my yes, and I just say sin because when people say sin, they think in this world,
Like a religion thing.
yes,
Okay.
they think that that's a bad person, that's a bad thing. And I do think um that's not the way it should be. Personally, I think It's just protecting yourself. So when you have a credit card, what happens when you buy something nice and new? You're excited. It's you bought a brand new bag. It's exciting. But what happens later on when you have to make those payments? And you keep doing that. You're making yourself more problems than there needs to be or should be. And so are people with credit card debt bad people? No. All of us pretty much have it
Yeah.
at this point. But in my life, I'm so busy growing. I'm busy, too busy trying to push myself and do these things. I do not want to even take the chance of getting myself into a situation where I need to take time to heal because that's what it takes. When you get that much credit card debt, you have to take the time to heal from it and take time to make those payments, essentially.
True.
And so I don't have time for that. I've been down that route. We all have. It honestly, when you're addicted to something or you start doing something and you get to the point where it's taking over your life, you know how it's so hard to come back from that. People don't realize. They're just thinking of that new bag with that feeling, that dopamine. And so from learning that and me overcoming and getting to a point where I'm at peace because I've paid my debts. It took a long time.
Oh, so you weren't dead before. That's why.
I think personally, everyone to an extent, we're all sinners to a. No one's perfect, right?
No, I did that. That's true. I mean, that because
You
I
know what I
made a
mean?
lot of investments with my company. So
Oh, sorry, it's analogy. So the debt of sin. So I've been in debt with the sin, and but I have taken the time to face my demons to
oh
get
wait, you're
back
not talking about
from it.
credit cards.
No, no, no.
Oh,
Sorry. So I was using that as an analogy.
oh okay. I was like, you
No, no,
know,
no,
that's
no, no. So
like
I
dead
should
in
explain
credit.
that. That's my analogy how I think of sin. Instead of right and wrong, I think of it as a way to protect myself from the future of having to come out of debt, if
Okay,
that makes sense.
okay. Yeah, I got now. I'm following. Sorry, I'm kind of slowing.
No, 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 you're good. I should explain that better. But yeah, that's my opinion. Like by me not getting a credit card and staying away from it in the first place, I'm protecting myself from the chance of emotional damage. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's just hard and it's hard to see so many people they're so focused on making money the fastest right now instead of focusing on those long extra like miles that you get knowledge from, those extra steps, the people you meet instead of taking the shortcuts.
No, I'm with you. I think now I get what you're saying, because I think a lot of people, and I'm 25, so we're kind of like similar
Mhm.
generation. Most people they just want to make, they want to get 50,000 followers in one day. They want to make 100,000 in
Yes.
1 month. They want to found their ideal partner in 1 week. They want to do all these
Yes.
things like so fast, and like even though people get lucky and it happens, but like less than 1%. At the end of the day, choosing something hard helps you develop the skill
Yes.
of grit, resilience,
Yes.
discipline, faith,
Yes.
patience,
Yes.
and avoiding the instant gratification that a lot of
Yes.
people want.
It's an addiction.
Yeah,
In
no,
my
now I get what you're
opinion,
saying.
that's the woman's version of a porn addiction. Is the Because imagine if you're getting that much gratification all the time, that's going to be hard if you want to be with one man.
Wait, what do you think is the instant gratification of women, of girls?
So it's a high getting that gratification from men approving.
Like
So
attention.
yeah, attention, it's addicting. And it's hard to break from that type of addiction. Being like, if I'm having so many men commenting and so many men paying, imagine going from that mindset to getting that from one man.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is sad. I think a lot of you know, for example, for men, back in the day, we're valued as long as we can provide, protect, and be
Mm-hmm.
a strong man in our relationship with God. Women back in the day was with their purity and their beauty, being young, and honestly, what's the word that I'm trying? Their modesty. But what's the word? Their virtue, and a
Yes,
lot of that it's been lost. Like it's been completely
it's
lost.
gone.
Like it's
It's not gone. There's a couple of us out there.
no, but it is tough because and well, you live in Utah too. I mean, there's like a completely different culture here.
Yes.
Are you LDS by chance?
Yes, I am. So it's hard. I would call myself LDS. I'm not perfect, like I say. It's funny because you'll do certain things and they'll be like, "Aren't you LDS? You can't do that."
He's like, look, let me
Yeah,
just say right now, I am. I'm like super active. I served a mission and everything, but I've made a lot of mistakes. Like I
exactly.
got like tattoos like all over my arm.
Exactly.
I've drank. I've done
Me
things.
too.
I've put things in my body that I shouldn't. I've crossed limits with girls that I should not do. But sinners need Christ.
That's what
So
I'm saying. But it's funny because I see Satan is doing a good job right now between. So when I go to work, you can imagine railroading men. Not a lot of them are religious and they are in the opposite spectrum of when I go to church.
fully.
And I feel like there's like a divide between them. Some people, not all, but a lot of them going to church are so focused and they almost put themselves in a different category. It's like they're like, I'm not wicked. They're wicked. What, at least from my experience. And then going to
Yeah.
work, it's like they're like so focused on, well, if you're a Mormon, why can't you do this? When we should all come together and respect each other and be just do our best and be like, we have different opinions. I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. I do feel like there's a complete divide. Everyone's attention is where it shouldn't be right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think with and it's funny because most of my audience, they're not with the same faith that I have.
Yeah.
Like they're completely different. I don't know about yours, but I would assume it's the same one. Like
Yeah.
different from LDS. So I don't even know if people know I'm LDS and social. I hope they do because I try to post about it and go on with the missionaries.
Yeah.
Are you there? Oh.
There we go.
And but there is like for people that do live in Utah, there's definitely like a like I always say like there's three groups. Like on one side is like the people that just focus on the checklist, reading the scriptures, going to church and doing all this stuff and just doing the thing.
Yeah.
But the becoming part of it, it's not really in their heart and sometimes they're
Yeah.
crappy people.
Yeah.
And then
I
you have on the
agree.
other side, and I do know a lot of these people too, that maybe they're not doing the checklist, maybe they drink, maybe they don't go to church every Sunday, maybe they don't wear certain clothes, or maybe they have tattoos and all this different stuff. They don't do the checklist, but they're great people, And for what I want in my life, I understand that doing the things are very important, but also who you are matters probably a little bit more too. So I try to stay in the middle. So sometimes I have a
That's,
hard time
yeah, I was
relating.
gonna say that.
Yeah,
There's this side and then there's the middle.
sometimes I have like a hard time relating with people that are in this side because I look at them and they seem like so perfect and they've never struggled with anything and they've never done anything wrong and it's a bubble.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, a lot of these people are great human beings, but maybe they're not very active. And I'm like, no, because I want to be active too and I want to participate in all this stuff. So I totally get where you're coming from. And
Did I explain that good, do you feel like?
yeah, yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, are your parents, were they raised in the church?
Oh, so that's, I think, partly why me and my mom didn't get along. I was a little rebellious. Growing up, they were more hardcore, right?
Really? Okay.
Strict, which I'm appreciative now, but back in my teenage brain, I wasn't. And
Yeah.
so, but now, my mom is the most, she's almost kind of realized they're gonna do whatever when they grow up. They're gonna make their own choices, and I just want to love
Fully.
and just give my opinion. And I honestly, that type of in my opinion, parenting is better than the strict, because now I'm like, growing up, I'm like, I don't need in your teenage brain to rebel, because no matter what, you're going to come home to loving, supporting
Yeah,
parents. And so, yeah, that's what. So right now they're active. They go every Sunday, but they're more. I can tell them anything, and they're not going to judge me.
that's great. That's
So we
great.
both have grown together and just.
And are your siblings more like different in that regard, or?
So one has left the church completely. The other four still practice and are still, but I love them all the same. They're all amazing. They're all so easygoing and chill. They're just, that's my greatest blessings in life, is my family, because
That's
I know
great.
not a lot of people don't have that. And
Yeah,
that's my greatest blessing to me right now.
that's great. Um, no, I agree. I feel like because I see that a lot here that people or the parents they kind of like enforce certain things into their kids, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't actually practice or become like real Christians is because they always do what people tell them to do, what their parents tell them to
I
do,
think so too.
and they never
That's at
understand
least
the why.
my experience.
You know?
I've understand the why now, because of going through those hardships. And I was actually having a conversation with my parents the other day, and I was telling my sister, I was like, do not like jump into relationships too quickly. I like, do not. And my dad's like, oh, they won't listen. And I was like, no, Dad, I had to go touch the fire first. And then I was like, you know what? I am sorry I didn't listen. I should have. But now I know why. Because I would have saved me a lot of time and heartbreak of having to work on that and become healthy from those types of things
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So we
Uh,
do listen.
yeah, no, I think the best thing you can do is teach people like where to go. You know, at
Yeah.
least for me, my parents were converts. We were raised Catholic. And then
Oh, that's
my
cool.
my mom got baptized when she was 32, 34, and then all my siblings got baptized. We're six in total. And then I got baptized when I was a kid, but she gave me the Book of Mormon when I was 16, and she told me, "Benny, if you want to know if this is true, I want you to read it." And it's
Oh,
funny
that's
because
awesome.
I most of the people that I talk to, they're not. You're the first LDS person, which is hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, everybody, because I try to like be in the world and talk with other people that maybe we don't have the same values, but to show like, hey, we can all get along and not be in this bubble. Because I think with like LDS, they do that. It's like a bubble, and they don't
Yeah, it is.
integrate with other people. But anyway, so she gave me the book, and it took me a year to read it, but I finished reading it in a year, and I prayed about it. And I remember I was in my sister's bedroom, and when I found out and felt that it was true, I was like freaking out. I FaceTime my brother; he was in the States and stuff. So it was great, but they never forced me to do anything. My childhood is that I was going to parties, going to clubs. Everybody's doing drugs, drinking, and for some
Hmm.
reason, I just never wanted to do that. Because growing up, my mom always told me, "Ben, you're different." So that always stuck with me. But they always trusted me a lot because all my siblings were drinking and doing all these bad things, whatever. And because I was a good kid, they trusted me a lot. So, but I was exposed to a lot of things, and I feel like my relationship with God, I chose it. I chose that instead of somebody like telling me what to do. It was
Yeah.
my decision, you know. And it was different for you. It was more like a strict, and then you went and made those mistakes, right? And then you figured out like, oh crap, like I gotta,
Yep.
yeah,
Now I'm trying to help others not make those mistakes, really. Like,
yeah.
it's not worth it.
When was your
It's not.
rebellious like season? Would you say? When was that?
Well, it comes and goes.
Last
No,
week?
I'm just joking.
You're like last
No,
week? A
no, no, that
couple
type of
days ago?
rebellion. No. So I've been on this journey for about a year now, I
Okay.
would say. So I have been closer, in my opinion, to God and being completely at peace for about a year now.
No, but you said that, and we don't have to jump into details 100%. But you were saying that maybe you stopped believing, you stopped going to church, you stopped reading, you stopped, like, what was the thing that you were like, I'm
I was
being
just
rebellious?
lazy. It's not that I didn't, I've always believed in it. I
Mm,
just, I wasn't doing anything about it. And so one thing leads to another, and then you realize you're in a situation where you're like, I'm not living to my potential, and I
Yeah.
don't like who I am. So
Mm,
then you face those demons, and you come back from it, and
yeah. Yeah.
like, yeah,
No, I can definitely relate. One of the reasons why I started doing this stuff is because last year I thought I was pretty like locked in my purpose, in my relationship with God, like 21, 22, 23. But 2024 is the year I made the most mistakes. And, I sinned a lot. I broke a lot of my own standards and commandments and things that I live my life by, and things that I would have never expected. Like, I was such a, like, talking about like sin, I was such a saint before, like, growing up. Like, I never did
hmm
anything until 2024. I don't know why.
that's me too.
And like, if you ask me like a couple years ago if I would ever like get tattoos or something, I'll be like, no, there's no way. And I'm not saying that if you get tattoos you're a bad person, but I know for a fact that our bodies are a temple and this is not right. I know that, you know. But I did it. And do I regret them? No, I actually really like them. But it was part of my season, and drinking, and I did mushrooms one time and friggin' other stuff. And it's funny because I didn't notice until I had a meeting with one of my bishops, one of my leaders, and he knew me in 2021, 2022, and like I just started telling me, he's like, Ben, that's not the guy I know. What are you doing?
Hmm.
And that's when it clicked me. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? And I know that a lot of Christians, a lot of people, especially on social media, talk about God and Christ, but they don't follow any commandments. There's no like discipline or like action with it. And for me, I realized, I can't do this stuff. Like, sinning is something that it's, as a Christian, like we got to stop sinning and become better, become more holy.
Yeah,
And when God told me that I needed to change, I'm like 180. I even stopped cursing. Like, this is one thing that I would always like. So I'm like, English is not my first language. Like, who cares? Like, it's my second
yeah.
language. So anyway, um, I don't know where I was going with it, but I can definitely relate to it. I can definitely relate to it. What made you
But I
change? Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
honestly, so I was so in love with this guy, right?
Oh, so
This
it
guy,
came from a
it was
dating
a
thing.
guy. It was a guy. Let's just say I haven't been on a date because I'm choosing to me. I'm taking time for me right now. I
That's
have
good.
been for about a year now, and maybe it's not exact a year, but it's been a long time. But anyways, I was so in love with this guy. This guy didn't care one little flicket about me. I literally went against everything I was taught growing up, fell in love with this guy. This guy was like the definition of do not, and I'm not even trying to sound like those girls that are like, you can do better. No, like he didn't care about me. Like I was giving this man money. I wanted to support him.
So why did you jump into that relationship?
I got in that mindset. Well, it's not like that at first. Um, I'm not saying he's a narcissist, but there was definitely tendencies. So at first, the love bomb stage, I was like, "Woo, attention from a guy! Yay! He's cute and fun." And that right there, going through that, and me having to break it off and never, like, I broke it off because I was like, nope, that was the hardest thing I've ever done, in my opinion, is realizing that I can do better and I'm constantly depressed. I'm not happy. I honestly think in certain situations you cause your own depression, I've learned. I
Oh,
thought,
100%.
but I didn't think that. I thought I was just depressed. I didn't get meds or try to treat it. I did see therapists. I wanted to do better at the time. But at that time, I was like, something's wrong with my brain. No, it was me. That's what was wrong. And once I finally realized that and made that decision to completely, even though I didn't want to, I liked this guy. I did not want to. And let me tell you, it doesn't make you happier.
How'd
But
you
what
guys
it
meet?
does,
Tinder?
no, I don't do dating apps.
Oh, you
Like
don't?
I honestly believe in like making it a natural connection.
That's good. That's good.
That's why all these,
It wasn't like
my
Facebook
mom,
Marketplace or KSL.
no, my mom's honestly like, she's always bringing up dating stuff. I'm like, no. She's like, you probably got guys in your DMs. I'm like, yeah, that's probably the worst way to meet someone, mom.
Well, I feel like with your content, you do attract a lot of guys, or mainly
Well,
guys.
yeah, it's I have 94% men. Well, but think about it. I do railroading stuff. I
Yeah,
do have a lot of females who are into it, but
but like it's
typically,
mainly like
yeah,
because it's
that's
just 94 is guys.
yes.
I don't even know what. Let me see what's mine. That's a lot. You get like all the like older dudes that like
Oh yeah.
trends.
I get I mean that's why I started that post actually. I was so tired of people asking me for pictures for money. I
Wait,
was tired. No,
what's
I'm
the
not
cra-
even kidding you. Sorry,
what?
what was that?
I do have a question with that. Where do I have it? What's the craziest thing someone sent you in a DM?
I probably can't I don't even want to say. It's inappropriate. Like but it's on a daily basis, and that's when I realized that I wanted to start and essentially I be a Joan of Arc, is being like standing up against what's not cool. Because I was like, I was getting so overwhelmed by this because I'm waking up at 5 a.m. I'm working my butt off, and for people to just keep when I specifically say I don't want to do this, I don't believe in posting my pictures and that type of stuff.
Oh, fully no, yeah. There's not.
And so,
Yeah,
but then I
that's
realized
so
there's got to
wrong
be
for.
other women like me who are struggling, and that's why I posted that reel. Is I remember coming home and I felt so defeated because I'm like, I'm literally in the snow outside. On that day, I probably got 4 or 5 people different messaging me that, hey, I'll send you, what's your Cash App? What's this? Send me this. And so I made that real. And what I think people are so close-minded about it is when I say, when the world wants you to take the easy way out, so you take the hard way out. A lot of people thought I was dissing on the OnlyFans models, with saying that their job's easy. That's not what I was even meaning. That was not even my thought when I posted that. And it's sad because you get, if you read through those comments, they're like, oh, she will make more money than you ever will. You wouldn't even make it as an OnlyFans model. And
But
I'm like,
I don't
that's
think
not
it
the
comes.
point of the reel.
Yeah, I don't think it comes down to like just OnlyFans. I think it comes down to easy because it's easy to give up on our standards and our beliefs and stuff like that, and it's way easier to change
Exactly.
the world.
That's
You
what
know.
exactly what I was trying to get by that. And I actually had a lot of women message me and be like, I was tempted today, so and I needed that, so thank you.
No, Addi, I think you're doing God's work 100%. Like I truly believe it. And
I'm spicy. I have to be working with these guys. I'm like, you're just like sitting over there. I'm like,
no, that's good. I do believe you're doing God's work because I think that's a needed thing. I don't think you have a lot of women that show that you can work hard and like you can take the hard path, which is not a hard path, which is actually the right path.
and
It's
let me um phrase that. A lot of people think I'm just promoting my hard work because I get a lot of comments that say, well, I don't want to be dirty. Well, then start a business, start something else.
yeah, no,
I wasn't referring to my type of work. I do it because I like it.
yeah.
I was referring to do what you want to do while keeping safe.
Hey, I was so inspired by your content that I haven't quit everything and now I started working in construction. No,
That's funny.
with my one is 69% guys and 30% women.
I'm trying to get more females, but I love what a lot of what people try to get to me. They say I'm a pick me girl because I post me video gaming, I post me hunting, I post me, but I generally have a passion for each thing, those things. It's not because I'm trying to do it. It's like I like doing it. So
Yeah,
in
and
my mind, you know,
I was gonna ask you is I think part of your personal brand. A lot of people they want to start their personal brand and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like being authentic, like being yourself.
Be yourself. My
Yeah,
stuff is weird, but I like
yeah, it
it,
is kind of
so
weird.
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
I get that. No, my coworkers, even I'm gonna call them out. They try to encourage me to do OnlyFans. It's everywhere. It's everywhere I go. People are trying to say, "Why don't you do this?"
yeah.
I've had other bosses. It's
You know, when last year, and it's pretty related to what you're talking about, because I was like, I want to keep growing my social media, and I'm like, I'm gonna just be Ben, and I always talk about funny stuff and things that most people don't make fun of. Like I always, like back in Chile, we always bully each other with my siblings. We always bully each other.
yeah,
That's my love language, just like making fun of you. But
same.
I've been able to be more control. But with social media, I was like, you know what? I want views, I want attention. In 2024, I'm like, I'm gonna talk about the most controversial stuff, and I started attacking like, it's not shame that I'm saying this, but it's just the truth. I started talking like the trans community and all of these weird ideologies and all this stuff, and making fun of them. And I got millions and millions of views, and my account exploded. But all these people started coming after me. And it's funny because one time I was in a very sacred place when I had that conversation with my leader, with that guy, and literally God told me, he's like, Ben, I need you to, you have a gift with communication, with your platform and everything, but I need you to edify people. And instead of chasing views and attention and comments and likes and all this different stuff, I need you to preach your message, which I was doing before, but then I kind of like sacrificed my values just for attention too. And once I changed
Okay.
that and I started posting more edifying content about, my life and Christ and God and just like things that I think on a daily basis, my account exploded even more. But I
Yeah.
started being more like the right authentic me. The other one, he was just the natural Ben, in my opinion.
Yeah. Looking
And
for the views. I get it.
yeah, so that was a huge lesson because even though it was super funny, I knew that I was not helping anybody. That I was not um, following my own standards that I believe in, like helping and inspiring people.
Yeah.
You know,
I need to do better on that, honestly. I strive to do better on that. And I always check with my dad, like, what do you think of this reel? Or what do you think of this? So no matter what, you're gonna have haters. I posted only against OnlyFans with just, I don't know if you saw it. I collaborated with this other girl who does farm work. I had no other girl in it other than us two. And those guys follow each reel and they're just like, la, 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 and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to fight fire with fire, and then other times you need to know when to be loving. And
yeah. I mean, with social media, I feel like for me, I had a lot of hate in person, physical, like people that I knew and like betrayals and like I got screwed over so many times that when I started posting like personal branding social media, I'm like, dude, I don't even know these people. Like I've gone through worse. But then when I started posting about all these like trend stuff and everything,
oh,
I had
I
this whole
bet.
community that were coming off on me, like bad.
Oh, oh yeah,
They're spicy. They're very
yeah, they
spicy.
are.
Yeah, they're wild. And the like threats and death threats and people like wishing me that I was dead and all these stuff and you're gonna go to hell. And I even like in the beginning I would talk about the church and then I had this whole other community with like Christians that
Yeah,
they hate the LDS and they were coming after me like you're going to hell, you don't believe it and all this stuff. I'm like, guys, and I would attack because I'm like, I don't want to be quiet. So I would go
yeah.
after each individual comment and post a video about it. It would go viral, all this stuff. It's so funny. But then I just realized I wasn't doing any good for it to anybody. So I was like, I was just gonna post like edifying stuff.
But it's a learning curve. So
Yeah.
that's what you learn and grow from it. That's what it's about.
And then I'm like, I'll just start a podcast and I can talk about anything I want and nobody can say anything to me. And then, but Instagram is kind of tricky because you never
It
know,
is.
like community guidelines, you can get shut down. I was shadow banned for years, just talking about certain topics and everything. So yeah, no,
Does it show you when you're shadow banned?
but the thing is, I know that the average views I get and engagement in my stories. So when I'm talking about certain topics, I had a lot of posts taken down. My stories wouldn't get any reach from my posts, and I'm like, dude,
That's what I feel like recently for me, for mine. after I posted that reel, it's just been going down, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. Now I think it's better because the Meta they changed a lot of their policies, and because before it was a lot of things pushed by the government. I don't know if you saw the Joe Rogan and Mark Zuckerberg episode, but he's talking about like the fact checkers and the algorithm and how this thing
Yeah.
uses. Anyway, there's like a whole thing with it. And but going back, you mentioned something I want to talk about. You mentioned your, and I think a lot of girls struggle with this. You mentioned your ex when you were dating, and
Yes.
that he took you to the wrong path, and you focus on the wrong things because, to be honest, that's the biggest difference between guys and girls. You guys are way more emotional. We're way more rational and logic.
Yes.
And that's completely fine. That's why men and women they make a great team.
Yes.
But I see it a lot that you know, um, women we have different roles. For girls, it's more like the nourishing part of it and the supporting part of it and like the loving part of it that guys we just don't have. Us, we're
Yeah.
more like provide, protect, kill, conquer, and I'll take care
Yeah.
of you. And you guys are in the other one. But the problem is that a lot of guys they're not showing up. A lot of guys they're leading people astray. A lot of guys are not connected with God. A lot of guys they're boys, not actual men. And I think that
No.
doesn't help women be who they truly are and being that nourishing part of it, that feminine side. And that's why a lot of girls have bad experiences and they're like, I hate guys, and they go through this period and all this stuff and guys' fault. But I believe it's guys' fault because a lot of them they're not getting closer to God, they're not making money, they're not in shape, they're not mature. A lot of them they're very mature, so that affects the relationship between men and women, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And and you mentioned that was your experience, part of it, right?
Yeah. I'm so empathetic with people. I was a huge people pleaser. I would do anything, especially when I liked someone that much. That's why I stayed for that long, is because I want to help. And I was to a point where I took accountability though. I never have had a man-hating stage. Sorry, I'm gonna hurry and plug in my phone real fast
Where
before
are
it dies.
where are you? You're
I'm
like
just,
2%.
yeah, like, sorry, give me just a second.
No, yeah, you're good. You're
But
good.
anyways, I don't understand that. I understand why women have that face. Me personally, um, when people do me wrong, I just think of their childhood and the types of, like, I can just sense it if it's hard to explain. So, for instance, I'm a very forgiving person personally. And so it's hard to see this because I understand why a lot of women have that hate phase. But to me, I'm big about taking accountability and being like, why did you let that happen? You had a choice in it too. You could have, you guys need standards to where that it's going to protect yourself. And for me, during that time, I didn't have standards at that time, obviously. I had them, but I wasn't following through with them. Where now, going through that, standards as in, it's hard because everyone says the same thing. Like, you see all those Instagram reels of like, you need to have high standards, you need to do this. But I feel like you don't understand until you go through it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, Addy, is that you get in life whatever you tolerate, and you tolerate certain
Exactly.
things that are attached to how worth or how valuable you think you are. I'll give you an example.
Exactly.
My mom, they were in a very abusive relationship with my dad for 32 years, and she didn't get divorced until I kicked my dad out of the house. And in 2020, one of the things I realized, okay, I cannot convince her to get a divorce because she's been living
Yeah.
in a certain way for 32 years. But what can I do? I'm going to show her her worth in God's eyes, and then she's going to feel who she truly is, and then she's going to realize, hey, I don't deserve this because I know who I am. And I think a lot of women, they struggle with their insecurities and all this stuff because they don't know who they are. They don't know who created them. They don't know where they come from. So they
Exactly.
tolerate a lot of bad things. And it goes the same thing with guys. A lot of guys, they create bad or fake confidence, but they have a lot of
Oh yeah.
insecurities. They take advantage of girls. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't do that if
Yeah.
you know who you are and you know what you're looking for, you know?
And yeah, that's perfectly said. I found who I was because that guy, for instance, second I was like, you know what? I didn't even say anything. I stopped because I was
Look,
like,
I'm pretty sure that you tolerate a lot of those things. Yeah, love and emotion and everything, but at some point it's because you were struggling with your own insecurities.
exactly,
Pretty
I
sure.
lost myself.
Yeah.
And so, and then that guy instantly, well, this I would like to share because I feel like a woman and myself being a woman, um, a different way of going about certain things. So when a woman's insecure with herself, she tends to like to be an FBI agent and always check that guy's phone. Always, and it in the long run it creates stress and anxiety for yourself. I really am against that. What I come to find out is when someone's doing something wrong, it will show up on its own. And
Yeah.
so by me, so during that relationship, I wasn't like that, not even one bit. I let him do his thing. Not, I'm like, you do your thing, but I could tell when something wasn't
Yeah,
right.
women are pretty in tune with their gut, their gut feeling.
But when you're so obsessed with that person, you will lose yourself. And you know what I mean? Like, you always see them always constantly checking them. They don't want their guy to go out. They don't want him to do things, and it creates a toxic environment. I'm saying this because I used to be like that. But I've learned what's a much happier and better way is to let them be their own person. And he honestly, by me doing that, he would slip out and accidentally tell them himself. And then so during that period of time, I wasn't always so stressed about what he's doing, where he's at. I just knew. And so that's when I was like, you know what? But anyways, so I said, kind of during that experience, I lost myself. And he was seeing other people, and right after went straight to a different girl. And my natural instinct was to be like, it's because I'm not pretty enough. It's because I'm not this. It's because I'm not that. But it's really has been a blessing because I've been able to create, I think that I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful, and I know that I work hard and I have a lot to offer. And so it helped bring me to peace, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think a lot of things in life for guys and girls can be solved by your confidence and how you see yourself. And there's so many different definitions of confidence and all this stuff. For me, it's like you know who you are. And growing up, I was like super soft mentally, and everything would get under my skin. I was super emotional. And I always share this story because I almost ended my life in 2017. And then when I came to the States, I realized, okay, I'm like, I don't like this bend. It's very soft. I'm gonna
Mhm.
become tough, and I'm gonna like achievements. And I started doing ultra marathons, start a business, and doing all these crazy stuff with
Yeah.
achievements. And like, I'm gonna get my confidence from doing things,
Yeah.
you know. But then I realized because one time I had a conversation with my little brother, and he literally broke me, and I was crying for 2 days. Like I'm the gym, I'm balling out, and I'm like, what happened? I thought I was this confident, tough guy,
Yeah.
like going through this stuff. And then I realized that confidence doesn't come by stuff that you do.
Mm-mm.
Confidence is actually a mental state. It's a spiritual
Yeah.
thing. And I always say this because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're not physical beings having a physical experience. Even that time when I was like doing all these crazy things and races and I'm like so tough and achievements,
Yeah.
I got injured and I had surgery in my foot and leg, my knee at the same time. And I was in bed for 2 months and I couldn't work out, I couldn't do anything. But once I started learning what actual confidence is, I was like super confident because I knew who I was spiritually. I knew who I was before I came to this earth. I knew what God saw in me. And like, even though I was not doing the external things because I was injured and recovering, I knew that regardless, I was that person inside. And then at some point in life, once you know that spiritually, then that will externalize and materialize. But I think a lot of women, especially women, they don't know their value. They don't know who they truly are. They don't know where they come from. They don't know who created them. They don't know what God sees in them in a spiritual way. And that's why they tolerate a lot of bad things that happen to them, you know?
And if I can help share any message regarding that, this is what it would be. Going from that person to who I am now, I would say the first step, if you are struggling with self-worth, is self-talk. It took me for about 3 months to rewire my brain how I talk to myself. I had to actively change, and it took a lot of effort because I was so quick to negative because it brought dopamine to be sad. It was a feeling. I would always be sad. Always, I'm just not pretty. I'm not, it's kind of addicting in a sense. And I rewired my brain to anytime I had those types of thoughts, I talk to myself now because, and over a couple months, you start to, if you're consistent, it changes you. It for the better. And I honestly think that's a big key if you are struggling with your self-worth and you just feel lost. Just start however you want to do it, talking to yourself positively when you're going through hard things. Hey, I don't feel like doing this. I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't feel very pretty today. Nope, I'm not gonna think that, Race. And that's honestly what's helped me a lot through this
Yep.
journey.
And you know what you're saying? It's a scientific thing. I've studied like the power of words so much, and I love like energy and creation and metaphysics
Yeah.
and how all this stuff works because it's science. They did a study. They put two plants, and one they would talk about like positive things to the plant, and then the other one would talk about negative. And they
Okay.
wanted to see which one would grow faster. Well, guess which one grew faster?
The positive.
The one that they would talk positive. And then they started realizing that everything that we see around us is made out of particles. Like, you see this ball.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
it's not solid. Like, if you actually look into this thing, you see there's a lot of particles together. So
Yeah.
then they realized that because everything is particles, our
Hmm.
bodies are particles, and everything's there's like tiny how do you say molecules?
Molecules?
Molecules.
No, you're
Molecules.
good. I almost was like, I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know.
good. Everything is like tiny molecules. They realize that energy and frequency can change the state of a molecule or a particle. So when they started doing the study with the trees and the plants, they realized that words carry a frequency and an energy. What does that mean? That whatever you say or speak is going to change the state of certain things. If you're talking bad to yourself and I'm a piece of crap, I'm not pretty, I'm not this, I'm not good enough, your body hears that. Literally, like hears it and starts adapting to the things that the
Oh
energy that
yeah.
you're sending to yourself. And the other thing that I love about this stuff is that that's how Jesus worked. Do you know that? I mean, if you study his miracles, most of
Mhm.
his miracles came by the mouth. Hey,
Yeah.
Lazarus, stand up and walk. He commanded things because he understood that he can control matter and particles through the power of his word because he had so much faith. When he called the storm to be like, hey, be still, and then the storm stopped. Or when he told his apostles, hey, put the net on the right side of the boat and you shall find. Like he always talked to things.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that we talk when we're driving, oh, freaking car, and we blame everything, we condemn everything, you son of a gun, you son of a this, and we talk so negatively. And then we wonder why our lives sometimes suck because we talk in that certain way. We put that negative energy, and then that negative energy transforms all these molecules and particles and bad things. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I've actually, yeah, I've done some research with that type of stuff, and that's exactly,
It's freaking
I
fact. It's
agree
science.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true though, but it's hard when you're in that mindset because I struggled hard with depression growing up. Hard, but then once you realize and you make that jump, it's hard to make that jump. To make yourself switch
Okay, but what
is
what was the
hard.
first thing? What was the first thing for you? You had to recognize what to get out of that mental place.
Sorry. I had to recognize.
You mentioned that you like struggle a lot with depression, all these different things. How did you change that? Because I think a lot of women they struggle with that. You know?
Well, at first I was just living with it because I thought I had to. That's just me. I deal with depression. That's what. So I stayed like that for a long time. But going through that experience and making myself we rewire my brain led to me realizing I was causing my own depression.
Exactly, and I think
Yeah,
that's the point that a lot of people. I would because we're talking about girls right now. Same thing with guys, but we're talking about girls. I think a lot of women they don't take accountability. You know, maybe it's my fault that I'm in a toxic relationship.
it's
Maybe it's
true.
my fault that I'm struggling with this stuff. Maybe it's my fault that I don't look in a good way that I like body wise, or that I'm struggling with those mental things and whatnot. Maybe it's my fault. You know, they don't take a lot of ownership. You know,
I have seen that a lot. Especially on social media, it's sad to see so many. What I get from my being a woman scrolling, it's all hating men. All it's their problems. And I'm not saying that I'm different or better, but I do take accountability
yeah,
because I used to be like that. I never blamed someone else for my problems, but I didn't take action.
yeah.
And it takes action and effort to be accountable and to actually change. I'm not afraid to tell people certain things and I struggle with this, because I actually learned that from this job. I really wanted to do good. And so what I did, how I got to the locomotives, I started on the excavator there and proved myself. But through that, working up that way, I decided that I wasn't going to hide anything. I wanted the bosses to see everything so that I could feel confident enough to know that I'm doing good. And so I took that mindset into life, and it started to started the ball rolling. And then I was like, oh, when you're accountable and disciplined, it equals happiness. My opinion, the most happy people on this planet aren't the richest, aren't the prettiest, it's the most disciplined. That's my opinion when it comes to living a happy lifestyle.
I'm with you. You know, like one of my videos got this one. I think is still going. It got like 7 million, and it's still like growing like crazy. But it talks about relationships and all this stuff. And I see all these women talking about, oh, I got cheated on. This guy was abusive. I did this, but he didn't do that, and everybody's complaining. But I think once you have that mentality, you never fix the stuff. You know, like a couple of years ago, um, a girl that I would say this is 23. It was like 2023. It was like the one time I was actually in love, and this girl, I just had a feeling I needed to break up with her, and I broke up with
Hmm.
her. And then 2 months later, I saw that she was getting married, and then she had a kid. And then I found out that she met the guy the night that I felt I needed to break up with her, and that's like literally my sign of God telling me I need to break up with her. And like there was like a pattern before that with like being cheated on and girls leaving for other guys, and I'm like, why do people screw me over, you know? And after
Yeah.
this girl, I took a break and I asked myself this question: what do all these girls have in common? And you know what all they have in common?
What?
Me.
Oh,
They had me in
yeah.
common. And you know, I started thinking, okay, if I'm the common denominator in everything, and
Mm.
this pattern keeps repeating, what am I thinking? What am I focusing on when I was in these relationships? And I
Yeah.
realized that a lot of it is that voice that I was telling myself, "Hey, you're not good enough. They're gonna cheat on me. They're gonna abandon me. Nobody loves me." It was my voice of insecurities,
Yeah.
and you know, a lot of that voice came from my childhood. Things
Hmm.
that I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. I went through a lot of stuff by myself, you know, like suicidal things. And once I realized, wait, all these people that have screwed me over in relationships, it's not their fault. It was my responsibility. It's my fault
Yep.
because I
It is.
attracted that. I invited them. I
Ooh.
tolerated that, you know. And then I went to war with myself. I'm like, yeah, heck no, I'm gonna change these things because I don't want to have insecurities, and I want to go fight my demons, and I want to figure it out. Why do this pattern keeps repeating? So therefore, I gotta change the way I think. So I had to like unpack all this stuff and realize where's the root of the problem, you know.
Yep.
So Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Oh, when you said that, because I'm like, well, coming from that reel, so I thought about that, and I could think of three answers of reasonings to post that reel. Number two was the law of attraction, and if you do that type of stuff, what type of people are you gonna attract?
Yeah,
And if you also becoming the person you want to be with,
yeah.
you know,
I posted
and
this here. There it says, "Remember, posting yourself in lustful ways attracts people with lustful intentions."
exactly, like, oh, because for one thing I wanted to share, just because I just thought of it. Do you know David Goggins?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
So
my
he's one of,
uncle.
he's you what?
Uncle.
What?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
the Navy SEAL
Yeah,
marathon guy? I was like, bro, you're funny.
he's Chilean. Did you know it?
He's one of, I have a couple people I look up to. He's one of them, other than my dad. I have a couple others, but and I thought about it, and I thought when David Goggins is running his 100-mile races, right? And if he was, say he's there's a shortcut on his race, and if he takes the shortcut, no one will see, but he'll win the race. But if he continues on the path, he'll get second. And I'm like, we all know he's not going to take a shortcut. He actually might take the third option and make it longer and harder on
Yeah.
himself. And then you got to sit back and ask yourself why. Is the reasoning of why he's doing the race in the first place is not to finish or get the title. It's to push yourself. It's to find value in those extra miles and the extra because you grow, you get stronger. Um,
It's by developing that mental toughness. That grit. He
yes,
thinks the only way. And people forget that our brains, they have so much plasticity, meaning we can mold it. We can
yes,
change it. We can change the way we think. We can change our beliefs. We can change our habits. Like our whole brains is just like plasticity. Like it can change. It can grow or shrink. And we change it by doing just hard things physically. I don't think there's like another way that you can actually do that.
and that's you wouldn't think you'd have to say more than that, sadly. I just think, like we were talking about earlier, we're all focused on the instant.
Yeah. Do you think, Addy, that social media has done more good in society or more bad in society, especially like our generation?
Um, uh, I, to be honest, I want to say bad, but it's created a lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm able to, I mean, I don't want to be paying someone else's pocket the rest of my life. I want to find a way to make a living doing something I love, sharing what I love, and that's a possibility now. Um,
Have you gotten opportunities from social media?
well, I make a little money, but I am always growing and I'm always trying to push. I want to, that's what I want to do.
The
I
freedom
love
it gives.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, if I had all the money in the world, I would still probably work. I just like working. I like having some, I like being able to show up somewhere at 5 a.m. because at the end of, and working hard because you just feel like accomplished.
Yeah. That's
But like
great.
I said, yeah, I don't want to pay someone else's pocket forever though.
Yeah.
I do have goals and dreams of
Well, I hope you do have goals and
yeah.
dreams. I hope you do. Yeah.
This is just a stepping stone.
Yeah. No, I think social media is great. I always tell people that it's free marketing. Like it's
Yeah.
free marketing. Like it takes no money to start. It takes no money. Everybody has a phone. It's just like jumping in it, sharing your message, and it provides a lot of opportunity. I've met celebrities, very successful
Yeah.
people, and all this stuff through social media.
The opportunities I
Yeah,
get, even talking to you, it's like it's so amazing. I do
yeah,
love that part of it.
that's great.
That's for sure.
Let me ask you this other thing. You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to also talk with you is because I think you show what a real Christian is. You know, you defend your values, even though it's controversial, even though a lot of girls don't talk about it, you're bold with it. And I think we need that. People that are active in their faith, people that are active in their truths and their beliefs. Now, with the girls, I think there's a difference of being a girl and being a woman. And I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of girls right now and not a lot
for
of women.
sure.
And same thing
And
with guys. I think there's a
yes,
lot of boys and not a lot of actual men. So I've always asked this to people. What do you think is has to happen in a girl's life for her to go from being a girl to being a woman? What does she have to experience? What does she have to learn? Like when, and obviously it's a process. It's not that one day you wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so mature now.
yeah.
But
No,
like, what do you think are some things that need to happen in order for that process to happen?
that's such a good question. Thank you for asking.
Because like I talk to you and like we're having a very mature conversation. Like I get like I'm a woman vibes kind of a thing. I'm not like this
I
girl
appreciate
immature
that.
that unless you're BSing me. I don't know. I hope you're
No.
not. But you never know. But like you give off, and I think we need more of that. That's one of the reasons why like the younger generation they're so messed up because they don't have good influence.
Even especially I work a lot. I live at work right now, but they don't like that. A lot of them, I mean,
Wait.
boys,
Who don't like that?
I feel like boys don't like women. And so
Oh no,
they
they don't. Boys like girls. Men
they
like women.
like yes, and that's what's hard since there's less men and it's vice versa. It's almost like they congratulate and they want you to be a girl. They want you to act that way in a sense too. Like at least where I work. So like not everyone. I get those gems where I'm like, "Oh, you're so respectful and nice." I'm not talking about all men, but I do feel like it's uncool right now. But
Mm.
it does feel uncool. Literally, I get just yesterday I get judged just yesterday for not doing so I had it was kind of funny. I had this message come through that was like, "Are you interested in a sugar daddy?" Right? And my coworkers saw and were laughing and they were like, "Can we like take control of your messages and like make money from them?" And like they were actually like trying and we'll get a percentage and I'm like, "No. I don't want to do that. They're going to want pictures. They want to I don't want to
Yeah, but
mess
you
with
can
that."
like promise all this stuff and then not deliver and they can still pay you. Hey, I
But
get the same thing. I get more gay dudes in my DMs than actual chicks. You would be surprised. It's insane.
that's so
Like I
funny.
get big pics. I get guys like literally this dude was like, "Hey, I'm a faggot. Like I'll serve you. I'll do." I'm like, "What the heck is wrong with you?" Like it's insane. Like I'll pay you money if you do. I'm like, because anyway, it's wild. It's a gay. Yeah, it's a very
I
wild.
wish we would have. Now that we're talking, I feel so much more comfortable because I feel like at first I was like reading the water. I was like,
Hey, it happens. It
but anyways, and they just kept like trying and like they try to make me feel bad for not wanting to do that. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, I would do that if I had that opportunity. I would do it if I had tits. I blah 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 blah. And I'm like,
And are
oh
they
my
like older,
gosh.
older like
It
people?
goes, I've met boys who are 50 that I work with, and I've met men who are 50 and men who are 19, in my opinion. It just depends on
Okay, but like
where they're at in life.
going back, okay, you did mention a good point. A lot of girls they don't want to mature all this stuff because it's hard to find like actual like good men because all the boys they want like immature girls and things
Well,
like
they
that.
don't, it's, in my opinion, right now, it's harder to be a woman in nowadays. You're doing something that's not valued as much as being a girl. You don't get as much praise. That's
Okay,
the
but
word I'm
what's the
looking for.
difference, Addi? What's the difference between a girl and a woman? Like
Oh
what?
yeah, that's I forgot. We just went on a different.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. You say it's hard and everything, but like, Why? What's the main difference? What characteristics? What personality
Honestly, it's
traits?
just not giving in my opinion, not giving in and maturing enough to realize when what's gonna hurt you, like being thoughtful of your future, being open-minded to things, and not. That's what I would think, honestly, is for me right now, looking at my life, is if I were to give in to those types of things, that the only thing I'm doing differently is I'm being strong enough to say, I know that's gonna cause harm. That's not what I want in my future. One day I would hope I'm happy alone, but if I were to find someone, I want someone. I've listed qualities, and I have every day I try to be those qualities.
That's a big one. That's a big
And so, what are my qualities? Honor, virtue. So busy building something that he doesn't have time to look at things. He doesn't have time for people to care what they say about him. Like today, actually today, a coworker of mine was like, "Addi, your life is so unbalanced. The only thing you balance in your life right now is your nutrition." And at first, my initial thought was anger. I kept quiet, and then in the back of my mind, I thought, how sad is it you have enough time and energy in your day to be seeing how my day's going and judging that? I don't have time. I'm not looking at other people, judging them and paying attention to them. I'm so focused on trying to be better and growing in my dreams. I don't have time for that other stuff.
yeah.
So initially, I would say not giving in for a possibility for a better future for yourself.
And do you think that how much of that maturity, not giving in, thinking about your future, the stuff that you want and everything, it's related to your relationship with God?
All of it.
Yeah.
Most, well,
Wait, are you good with battery?
yeah, it just, yeah, first, I know, I was like, dang it keeps dying, but I like sitting here. It looks more professional.
Yeah, you're good.
So, this is what my relationship with God looks like right now. Before the podcast, actually, today I thanked him. I said, just really in my locomotive, I was like, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I haven't done this yet. Thank you. And then before I got really nervous and I said, please help me to reach out to somebody who needs help. I don't care about looking or saying or looking good. I know I struggle with public speaking sometimes. I can't speak clearly, but help me to share something that will help someone. And so that's how I talk with God. And so, what that aspect of the girl to woman and not giving in, I use him, I talk to him constantly. When my coworkers or friends and I feel down and I'm like, they literally make me feel down for not doing it a certain way. They do. I have gotten to a point where I get depressed where I'm like,
Do you feel alone?
of course, at first is
Yeah.
the hardest. But over time of doing this consistently, you get comfortable being alone.
Why do
And
you
then
feel alone?
I think at first I was building my relationship with God. I was alone because I was always negative. It, well, we always talk about being alone a bad thing. In my opinion, it's a great
I
thing.
think it's a great thing. I
That's
think if you want to
well,
change
let's
your life, you need to isolate yourself from the
yes,
world.
yes. So that's why I hate when people say alone. It sounds negative and uncool, and what's wrong with you for being alone? I always
I
get
think
that.
part of the price you got to pay in order to become the man or the woman that God created you, you have to go through that season.
You know what? I changed my answer to that. That's actually, you know what? Because in order like to do the things I was saying, you have to be alone for a minute.
You
And
do.
so, and I think
If you
that
don't
would be a
like
better
yourself,
answer.
if you don't like to spend time with yourself, how the heck are you gonna love spending time with other people?
I changed my answer to
Yeah.
that because in order to jump to that step, you have to be alone.
Yeah.
Kind of like I don't mean to be um unsympathetic or say anything, but as soon as you said that that one girl you liked jumped relationships instantly. Like so many people are trying to fill that void with someone
Yeah.
else and
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
Everyone has that void. Something's missing, right? They'll use people, they'll do things. But when you isolate yourself away from that, you start to see their true colors.
I think um I always tell people this, that if you're not happy, confident, or fulfilled by yourself, you cannot be in a relationship. Like you cannot. You can't,
No,
because
you just
you gotta
hurt
have
the
that
other
strong foundation.
person.
Yeah, you gotta have that strong foundation by yourself.
I just posted a reel yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. That's what it was about.
I have you blocked. Let me unblock you. It's funny. You were talking about you were like nervous with the podcast, but you never responded to me about like doing it. I'm like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to do it. It's chill.
No, I honestly thought I messaged you.
Let me see. You posted it today.
Yesterday.
Then why are you always doing something? Because
No, 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 no.
the one talking about your mom.
No. I post like once or twice a day. Um, so what did it start with?
Okay, which one?
It's it's under my reels. I put it off of my
Oh, you put it off.
yeah. So it's me in the rain. Me standing in the rain
This
or
one.
outside. Yes.
Sorry.
I literally posted what we were just talking about
Been
yesterday.
so long since you've been on a date with anyone. Yeah, but last time I felt pretty hard. I'm taking accountability to heal and learning to be comfortable being alone, so I'm bringing stuff back. I agree. I think that's a great thing. And look, my dad, his dad was an alcoholic. He would beat the living crap out of my grandma, and he had a lot of demons, and he passed all his crap to my dad. They were raised very poor. My dad worked his butt off. He became a very successful doctor, a cardiologist, but he never faced his own stuff. And what happened? He passed all his stuff and all his demons onto all of us, to my mom and to all my siblings. And a lot of my siblings, a few of them, they still struggle with certain things. And and it wasn't until it happened, the stuff that it happened with that girl that I was telling you about, that I'm like, you know what? I gotta figure out what's the root of all this stuff. And that's when I realized that a lot of it came from my dad. My insecurities, my suicidal things, being alone,
Hmm.
growing up, and not having like help or people that could protect me and help me out and everything. And that's when I'm like, you know what? No, this ends with me and starts with me. I'm gonna make
I
sure
love
that
that.
I'm gonna
Got me
make sure.
goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, because I think a lot of people don't do the internal work, and I don't shame in sharing it. No, like I told you, I was very soft like growing up, and then became very hard, and then realized that that's not the way to live life. And I realized that as a man, yeah, I do have responsibilities of providing, protecting, and becoming a strong man, and making money and fulfilling my purpose and helping people and building stuff and creating, and I do it. But also, and I love to compete, and I'm very aggressive, and I want to win, and all these different things. But on the flip side, I'm also an emotional person too, But now I get to choose which version of me comes out. I can be very loving, but I can detach pretty quick. I can be very competitive and hard on people, but I can also be very soft and loving. Now I get to choose. Before it was like whatever version would come out. But I think it's very unfair to pass on your baggage, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in general.
Yeah,
People's
yeah.
baggage to someone else, and that's something I realized. I'm like, no, my dad did that with everybody. I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to. I don't want to pass that stuff onto my kids. I don't want to pass that stuff into like my partner. I don't want to do that, and I think it's so unfair. It's the same thing. Like I don't get mad. Like I always tell like my friends, or when I'm in a relationship, I'm like, dude, we're gonna disagree. We're gonna have like all these different. I will never yell at you. I'll never get angry at you. Will I be frustrated? Yeah, but we're gonna talk. Why? Because I think it's so unfair that people react to their emotions, and sometimes they're so mean, and they pass their bad energy to someone else. I'm like, no, figure out your stuff, fix it, and then talk to me.
Yes.
You know?
But working with men since I was 15, I've been around a lot of men, and that's, I think, the biggest thing. I'm not a man, I can't speak on behalf of men, but as far as mental health that way, I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed. I think personally, growing up, when a guy sees a strong man that they view strong, they see that that man's quiet. So initially they think, oh, I need to hide. I need to compress. I can't show emotion. I gotta be strong.
Maybe quiet is not the word. Maybe cold. Yeah.
Cold. Yes,
Maybe yeah.
that's the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to be cold. Instead of what they're not seeing is that those men are quiet because they've worked hard on their demons. They're okay. They exactly what you're talking about, and that just brought a thought to my mind. I'm like, and that's a big thing right now is men's mental health, honestly, as well, in a different way that's struggling more than ever in that case. And
Yeah. I think to be honest, like there's so many things wrong with society, our generation. I blame everything on men, like everything. Just like if we have weak men, soft men that are not showing up, we're gonna have a weak society. It doesn't matter how strong women are. But if we have a strong society with strong men that are making money, that they have a great relationship with God, that they're great leaders, they're great husbands and fathers and brothers and friends, we have a great society because they're fulfilling the role. And I think women, I think a lot of women are doing a great job, but I think a lot of it comes down to men. I mean, I go to the gym here in Utah, and I look around, and I'm like, what are these people wearing? Like, what's going on in society? Like, all these like 24, 25, 22, 20. I'm like, dude, you're a bunch of boys. Like, you're a bunch. I
yeah,
want to slap everybody because like it pisses me off. Because like they're like, it's just annoying. Like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but I do get the
yeah,
frustration because I think
that's
we need more strong men.
I agree 100%. I think that when there's weak men, it creates women having to be that
Boss
role.
girls and put their
But
pants, which is not their role.
let
Yeah.
me rephrase that. Just because I do this type of work does not mean, and I feel like I get misunderstood a lot, is that's what I'm trying to come off as, is that boss girl, I can do this better than you, da 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 da. No, I do this work because I find joy in it and it brings me happiness. I still am very much in practicing those woman roles that nurturing and caring
Like, if I
and
ask you, Addi, what is that you truly want? Like, what would you say?
of course, yeah, you already know the answer to that.
I want to be protected. I want to be provided. I want somebody that guides
Exactly.
me.
It's like
Yeah, that's what most girls
exactly.
want. Yeah.
Uh, I think that's everybody wants. Men wants the good, vice versa, and
Men want to be respected and
yeah,
feel love too.
exactly.
100%. Yeah. And I agree, dude. I see a bunch of, because I talk to a lot of people. I used to have my mentorship program. I work with a lot of women that they're like boss babes and all this stuff. And I would always get them like one on one, and I would ask them, like, okay, you put all these walls and show that you're so tough. And I'm like, what do you want? And they would always tell me the same thing. I want to be provided. I want to be protected. I want to do this stuff. And that's okay. You know why? Because we have different roles. We do have different roles. Men, they can handle stress way better. And sometimes with women, you guys do. A lot of women don't understand the power that they have. A man would conquer the world for the right woman, or can even burn the world for his woman. Like, you don't understand how much influence girls have over men. It's insane. Like, it's insane. You can ruin my day, or you can make my day. That's how easy you can change it. So I think a lot of we are different. This whole equality, this whole BS, it's just not real. But we work really good as a team. You know.
I agree 100%, 1000%.
So anyway, um,
I was like, you already know the answer. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, but I wanna hear your experience because I really like
But
what you're putting out there, and I think more women need to hear that.
because
They need
it's
more examples
controvert.
that whatever you're doing, what you're doing.
Yeah, because and that's why I it's hard doing what I do, but also sharing the nurturing and kind side because it's like they contradict each other on the outside. But inside of me, I'm like, I don't think that way, if that makes sense. Like, if I was to have that perfect relationship right now, right? I would love to take care of my man. I would love him, cook him. I want to nurture
For
him.
sure.
But I also love doing what I do. So I would like to do both. And that's my opinions is like,
And I think
it's
you can
not
do
like
both. Yeah, yeah.
it, and a lot of people are like, so like, I don't know. What do you feel like, in your opinion, with stuff like that? I guess I don't know how to word that
No, I,
question,
I do
but
what you're trying to say. Look, I think there's rules. What's the role of the woman? To provide and to nourish the home, her partner, kids. A lot of
Mhm.
nourishment part of it. That's responsibility number one. What's the role of the man? To provide and protect for his partner and his family. If somebody's gonna come in the house and rob, guess who's gonna come out? The dude. If we're struggling financially, guess who's the one to blame and has to take responsibility? The man. If there's
Mhm.
something wrong with the kids or something with the house, whatever, who's responsible? The woman. Now, because we work together as a team, you gotta. My way is like I have roles, you have role, but we work as a team. Sometimes I'm gonna help you in the responsibilities that you have,
Okay,
and maybe
okay,
at
yeah,
some point you're gonna have to help me with my responsibilities because maybe I got sick or something happened, And I'm all for like, yeah, dude. For example, I love kids. Like, there's no way in heck that I'm gonna be like far away from like my kids or children like education or like being involved. I'm gonna be in everything, but guess what? I gotta fulfill my role first too. So sometimes I got to sacrifice certain time with them. I got to do it because it's my responsibility. But I
I
also
agree
want to
100%.
participate in the house. And now for women, I think a lot of girls are like, oh, I'm going to have a career and do all this stuff and no kids. I'm like, no, that's not your responsibility. I think you got to fulfill your role. Now, if you want to have like a job or something you want to do, I'm all for it. But guess who's going to pay all the bills? Me. Because this is my responsibility. If you want to do something that can add because you have extra time and you're kind of bored, I'm all for it. Do it. As long as you're taking care of your
Yeah,
responsibility, I'm taking care of
I
mine. We're
like
good.
that. That's actually
Does
a
that make
great
sense?
insight. I love that.
As long as not like taking you away from your
Yeah,
responsibilities
from
as a
your
woman,
responsibility.
I'm
Yeah.
good. And same thing with the responsibility as a man. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think that is a very healthy, that's a very, I like that a lot.
It's a
Because
team.
you see so many different people's opinions on that type of stuff, and you see from this side to this side, and there's not much of the middle going on. Like
No,
the team.
yeah. This is what I believe in. And to be honest, that's also hard to find because most women, they just want to, they're lazy and they don't want to do anything. I'm like, nah, dude, I want you to be active too. I want you to like have purpose and meaning and do something. Or on the flip side, there's girls that are like, I just want to work in career. I'm like, dude, I want you to be a mom. What are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a lot of extremes. It's like a soccer team. You have the goalie, you have the defenders, and you have the forward guys and the guys in the middle. Sometimes the forwards, their responsibility is to score goals. But some of the times they got to come down and help and defend. It's like same thing. They have the responsibility. These guys have the responsibility, but we work all together. You know?
Goosebumps.
I don't know. I think, but it's controversial. Like that concept is controversial nowadays.
And it shouldn't be.
It
That's what
shouldn't.
makes
Yeah, it
my
shouldn't.
heart, I'm gonna be honest, I feel so sad. Like even hearing you talk about that, because I'm like, I don't hear people like that very often. And it
Yeah.
makes me sad because that's what everybody wants and craves.
Hey, I haven't even questioned my sexuality. I'm like maybe I'm gay at this point, and I'll just give up. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Can never be gay. But anyway, um, no, yeah, that's Yeah, I think we need
I
to
do
do
feel
that.
like a lot of people, knowing a woman watching this, their first question to you would be, where do I find someone like that? That's what I see in all the comments. And that's the hardest part. People are always like, okay, I'm
Become that.
doing the things
I think that's
that,
the answer. Become that.
yeah,
I
that,
think a lot of like I think a lot of people want things that they cannot even provide or bring to the table. For me, everything that I want from my partner are things that I can also bring to the table and that I'm doing and I'm gonna do for someone. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I want someone fit if I'm not taking care of my body. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I
yeah,
want somebody who has a great relationship with God if I'm not taking care of my relationship with God. And I
yeah.
think a lot of people do that they want all these things that they cannot even provide themselves. You know, I want someone so happy and has so much purpose. Okay, but do you have happiness in your life? Do you have purpose? Do you have meaning? Can you,
I love
you
this
know?
answer.
Yeah, but that's what you said too in the beginning. You said like I
No,
have
I
my list,
know.
but then I started becoming that person.
But I never thought to put it in the words of where can I find this person? Like you become them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's how the law of attraction works. You end up attracting the right people into your life of like the same people that you are. If you have lazy friends, most likely you're pretty lazy. If you have like friends with bad standards and doing a bunch of dumb stuff, you're probably one of them too. Now, if you have good friends and quality people, and maybe they're not a lot of them, but you have a few, that's okay. That I think the problem comes down that a lot of people, because they enter that zone of season of isolation and working on themselves and everything, they realize, oh, I'm by myself. There's no one. This sucks. But I'm like, yeah, it sucks for a minute, but then with time and with patience, you're gonna find the right people that are doing the exact same things that you're doing. It just takes a little bit of time.
And that's what I feel like is hard for people because for just speaking personally, choosing to be alone until something like that happens, it seems so uncool to everyone else right now. Like so uncool. But that's the issue is if you're jumping like we were talking about earlier, relationship to relationship, trying to find that happiness, but you're not that.
But Addy, like even though it's not cool, it's completely worth it. You
Oh,
know,
that's no debate. That's why
yeah.
I don't care. In my mind, I'm just speaking as if I was listening and like it is 100% worth it.
Like people have two choices right now. Like have fun and enjoy life short term, suffer long term, or I'm gonna suffer in the short run, but I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of my life on the long run. And
Yeah,
and that's what
I agree.
the choices that people our age have nowadays in their 20s. Do I get to hang out with friends every single day, party, hook up with all these different chicks and do all this stuff and spend my money? And then on the long run, I'm going to suffer because I never built anything. I wasted a lot of time and made a lot of dumb decisions and I got dirty. Or, you know what? I'm going to like actually grind. I'm going to have a great relationship with God. I'm going to avoid sin. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to build my life. Now, in the short term, it might suck because I'm going to feel kind of alone. But in the long run, if I have enough fruits and results, I'm going to win and my life is going to be great. So I think it comes down to like, what do you want? If you ask me, the second one sounds way better.
Yeah.
You know.
uh,
So,
I'm right there with you.
anyway, we've talked almost an hour and 40. Yeah, it's
Oh,
been a it's been a good conversation. I've actually enjoyed it.
you sound surprised.
I
Joking.
actually enjoyed it. I didn't know
So
what to
rude.
expect. With a lot of people, at least like I know a little bit about them. You're like one of the first ones that I know. Yeah. Because usually I'm like, hey, dude, with like some guys, I'm like, hey, dude, like, let's jump on a call. I want to get to know you first before we jump on like a podcast. But with you, it's like, hey, you want to do a podcast? Because you were
Sure.
like hard to get a hold of, so I couldn't even like.
Well, I'm sorry. Like I said, the DMs get like, and I don't spend that much time on Instagram other than posting, not the messages.
No, I feel it.
I don't have
I
time.
no, you do a lot of things, and
Okay.
but I do appreciate you taking the time. I really do. And let's finish with this, Addy. What are your last thoughts for people? Like, if there's one thing that they can take away from this conversation, from your life story, from things that you've learned, gone through, what is the one thing?
Honestly, the my
that you can share
my
with your
favorite
followers and
thing,
fans?
yeah, is there's so much, but I think my favorite thing we've talked about that has brought more insight and more importance is one, first step, self-talk, be nicer to yourself, and keep doing that. It does get better with time. And two,
All right, guys, we're back. We lost Addi for a minute, but hey,
that
what's
was
the
my
one
bad.
thing? No, you're good. You're good. You're chilling. What's the one thing, Addi, that people can take away from you?
I was saying, um, start by talking positive to yourself and actually commit to it. Don't just pass it off. Like, knowing me, I know if I would hear that, I would just be like, eh. But if you actually do it consistently, you'll start to get the ball rolling and you'll start to be able to have more energy to do the things you need to be doing. And secondly, when you feel alone and you feel that void, do not fill that with negative stuff. Be strong and be okay and just invite more positivity in your lives. And I promise if you consistently do that, no matter what, no excuses, over time it does help and it does make a difference.
I
I
appreciate you.
think.
Yeah, those are some great insights. And guys, follow Addi on Instagram. I think what she's posting, I don't think, I really believe what she's posting and her content is so valuable, and especially for girls who need more of it. I'm gonna probably put it on the podcast thing, but it's called Addi's Adventures, Addison Rowland. So you can look it up and everything on Instagram. And yeah, I really appreciate this conversation. I think it flowed pretty well, and there's a lot of good golden nuggets that a lot of people can take from it. So I'm excited for people to listen to it. And guys, remember, look, if you find value in what Addi had to say today and her story and the things that we talked about, share it with your friends. You know, as I mentioned in the beginning, we count on you guys 150% to share the show. And I think the most powerful way of marketing is word of mouth. When there's something quality that is valuable and that can help people, I think it's our obligation to share with people. If you didn't like us, if you hate me, and if you hate Addi, I'm cool with it. Don't share it. It's fine. But I think you're going to have a different experience. I think this conversation was very helpful and very good as well. So I appreciate Addi for your time, and we'll see each other soon, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.